if that's possible as well. But again, a reminder, tsunami warning in effect for all of our islands. We're learning more, and we will continue to learn more as that activity moves closer to our area. So again, we island reporting warnings are
as the tsunami waves spread around the Pacific, the smaller the waves potentially they could be for our islands. Right now, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center hasn't come out with an updated specific height of what we are expecting. We are hoping for lower numbers, of course.
That's right, because the last report they had is they said wave heights could be up to 2 meters or 6 feet beyond normal sea levels. So the information that Moana gave us is good news. That the wave heights could be lower, there is a possibility. But again, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center has not given us new numbers as of yet. Is that correct?
Right, we're hoping for lower numbers, but we're being preparing as much as we can for wave heights as big as 6 feet.
And now let's go live to Catherine Cruz. She is on the phone. Catherine, where are you and what can you tell us?
We are on on Waikiki Beach, right in front of the Hyatt Hotel, and I can tell you it's pretty quiet out here. Not a lot of action. There's an occasional drunk that comes out and hoots and hollers every now and then, but there are police officers that are going down Kalakaua Avenue with their loudspeakers blaring, warning people about the tsunami and urging them to go up into their hotel rooms if that's where they are staying, if they're tourists here. Or if they're just hanging out at the beach having a good time, to clear the area. There are also some officers that are going on the ATVs going up and down the beach, warning people about this tsunami and to please stay safe and to go to higher ground. But again, aside from the occasional sirens and the announcements that are being made up and down from one end of Waikiki to the other, it is very, very quiet. So it's a little eerie. Because I've been down here in Waikiki around this time of night, and usually there are a lot more people walking around, and people do seem to, for the most part, be off the streets. But we'll let you know when that changes. Back to you.
Catherine, what else can you tell us? I know you've been driving around and out here working. What else can you tell us in terms of what's happening out there?
Well, they did close off a couple of streets in Waikiki down by Kapiolani Park, by the zoo, actually. So folks aren't allowed to come down that area. And I can tell you, with the sirens blaring, a lot of these zoo animals are pretty distressed, so you can hear them. Generally, I know in the past when there have been issues like this, I know the zookeepers generally put the animals in their pens, which is where they are for the night anyway, but there are some animals that are getting a little noisy and obviously are a little agitated with all the sounds, that they're not used to hearing, all the tsunami alert alarms, as well as the police that are going up and down the streets with their sirens blaring. So the animals at the zoo are a little unnerved tonight as well.
Before we let you go, in addition to monitoring what's going on here on this island, you've also got some relatives across the Pacific who are also keeping an eye on the tsunami. What can you tell us from your family in Guam?
Well, I know that they were all just trying to, keep safe and keep track of each other, make sure everybody knew to get to higher ground. When I last talked to, my family over there, they were waiting to hear, what was happening down on the coast, and I think they had a wave of about a foot high. So that's in line with what they saw over on Midway. So, we'll see if that wave picks up steam as it makes its way across the Pacific, and see what rolls up on our shores.
Family is safe, Catherine. That's the last word from Guam.
Yep, all safe in my family. Of course, I'm related to half of the island, so I have no idea where all my cousins and aunties are. Hopefully, they're safe at home. But yeah, that's the latest that I've heard. Back to you.
All right, Catherine Cruz reporting live. Call back again because we definitely want to know what's going on there. It was interesting that she was talking about the zoo animals being disturbed, and in these types of events, animals have a sixth sense about them, don't they, Paul? And it's interesting, sometimes when we've had these sort of events, people get concerned about their pets and their animals because, and people, actually, the last time we had a tsunami warning, we got some calls into our newsroom, people asking, What about the animals? Do they get evacuated? But as we can see, they just stay there at the zoo and they try to keep them as calm and comfortable as possible.
Right, and for those folks that may be concerned about where to go and what to do, again, we want to stress that for those coastal areas that are in the inundation zone, all you have to do is get out of the inundation zone. Even if it's just a block out of that inundation zone, then you'll be safe. So it may be just a matter of walking up a street, even if it is with your pet, if that's what you're concerned about, leaving your pet behind at your home. So again, you don't have to head up to the Poly. You head up to Makakilo like we did during last year's tsunami, just getting out of that inundation zone, moving up and out of the way, maybe just a couple of feet for some people, but getting to a little bit higher ground.
That's right, and all you have to do is open up your phone book. They have those new inundation zones, the new maps that just came out, and sometimes it might be as easy as just going across the street or getting across that line. So it's very easy to look at it.
Phone books, who has those anymore?
I know.
If you're like most of us and you just have a cell phone and you don't have a phone book, you can always go to our website, kitv.com. We have the inundation zones as well. And again, those are the red areas. As you look at the maps, those are the inundation zones. And you may want to take a look, even though you might think, well, I haven't been in the inundation zone. The maps have changed since last year.
And let's go live to Keoki Kerr. He's been talking to some of those emergency officials. Keoki, what's the latest?
The mayor's here with an update. Let's listen in now.
My most recent information indicates that the situation that we're confronting right now is unpredictable. We do not know how many waves are going to be coming. We do not know which wave, if any wave, causes the most damage, and how long the series of waves can last. As a result of that, it is our responsibility to do those things which are absolutely essential to ensure that human life is saved. For that reason, the city and county of Honolulu non-disaster response employees are placed on administrative leave for tomorrow and are asked to stay home. We would also like to let Oahu residents to be advised that all Oahu tsunami evacuation roadblocks and access to evacuation zones will be completely closed at 2 a.m. That's 1 hour from now this morning. No vehicular traffic will be allowed in. All evacuation travel must be completed by that time. Hospital emergency departments are reporting that many people who do not have acute medical problems are arriving at hospitals to seek shelter from the approaching tsunami. Hospital resources are not sufficient to accommodate those looking for shelter. The influx of people is straining resources to care for people having medical emergencies. Residents are encouraged to evacuate to safe locations outside of the tsunami inundation zone, such as the home of a relative or a friend or a designated tsunami evacuation area. I would also like to point out that nothing but the greatest sympathy goes from us to Japan. We have seen the photos. This is catastrophic. We want them to know not only with our sympathy, also goes our prayers.
Mr. Mayor, Sean Ching, Hawaii News Now. Can you tell me the plan is going according to schedule? Do you have any problems that you can tell us about that you've encountered?
Nobody has told me of any issues that make us feel that it's difficult in terms of completing what we need to do, other than those things that I talked about earlier. People who are forming lines at stores, forming lines at gas. There are some areas that are gridlocked. That's a very bad idea under the ongoing circumstances. So we want people to stop worrying about topping off their tanks and getting provisions. We want them to get out and get safe now.
What about 911? Is it still getting clogged?
911 is doing better. We understand that it's come down a little bit. So for those people who are not in a life-threatening situation, please continue not to call that particular number.
And city buses, I understand they're all essentially turned into evacuation shuttles. Can you tell us about that?
Not all city buses, but there are some buses that are being used for evacuation purposes, correct. I know of some that are specifically directed towards homeless individuals.
How about areas of refuge, Mayor? What can you tell the residents who may be looking for a place to go to once they leave the inundation zones?
There are a
to you at 2 a.m. They are going to essentially cut off all the evacuation areas. You won't be able to get in, but you will continue to be able to get out of them. Also, we understand that all of the Honolulu Community Action Program locations on Oahu. About 85 of them are going to be shut down today. We're getting that word in here. Take a look right across here. You can see these phone lines are ringing off the hook. These are residents calling in. These are tourists, people staying in hotels, wondering should they be evacuating. They are calling in. They are giving them the latest, most accurate information that they have. They're also looking up. Evacuation sites. If people still don't know if they live in an evacuation site, you can look up right on the emergency management, city emergency management website. You can just punch in your address and your zip code, and it'll tell you whether you're in an evacuation zone. About 30,000 people on this island of Oahu live in evacuation zones, and what they tell us here is that, again, and I know you folks have been probably hearing this all night, you don't need to head for the hills. In many cases, if you're in an evacuation zone, all you need to do is move a block or two inland. I mean, you can literally even walk that far, and you'll probably be safe. And in this case, of course, when we're hearing earlier from Moani that those initial reports from Wake Island were a very small wave there, that's good, very good news for us, only a little more than 1 foot. So let's hope that that is a harbinger of the small waves that are to come on these shores here in the hours ahead. And indeed, this will be, yet again, a good practice and a good drill like we had last February, but it won't be those scenes of, certainly won't be those scenes of devastation that we are seeing from Japan from several hours ago. That is the latest here from the Civil Defense, sorry, I call it Civil Defense because that's what we've called it for many years, the Emergency Operating Center here in the basement of the Honolulu Municipal Building. Back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Keoki. Well, we just heard from Honolulu Mayor Peter Carlisle. Now let's go live on the phone to Maui Mayor Alan Arakawa. Mr. Arakawa, what can you tell us in terms of what's happening on Maui right now?
Well, Maui County is in the midst of major evacuation processes, and some of our centers are already packed full of people. So we're asking people that are going to the War Memorial area to relocate to Maui High School gym. We have room there. Many people are up at the Lahaina Luna area. We understand that there's over 1,000 cars up by Lahaina Luna. There are two schools that are right below Lahaina Luna, Lahaina Intermediate and Princess Naena. Both of those facilities are open and can accept people there as shelters. So we're asking people to just follow directions. We have staff in the area that can direct them to where the nearest location is for a reasonable shelter. All of the coastline areas are being evacuated, and most of them should be evacuated. As of about 1 o'clock, we'll start closing down the streets, so that should be happening right about now. And slowly, people will not be allowed back into the evacuation areas, but again, you can leave the areas. If anyone is having problems getting out of the area, you can call Civil Defense 270-7285, 270-7285, or 986-1200, or you can call the mayor's office at 270-7855, 270-7855, and we will arrange for transportation to get you out of the inundation area. If you have any kind of a challenge, please let us know so we can get you the proper assistance. And we do have medical staff. Our Memorial is on alert. They're prepared for any kind of major emergency. So far, we do not have problems with inundations of our medical facilities. Most people are evacuating in an orderly fashion the way we want them to. At around 2 o'clock, we're going to start shutting down our wastewater systems and our water systems so that we will be slowly closing them down. 1 o'clock, we're going to start shutting them down. So we should be starting that process already. So if anyone needs extra water, please make sure that you store some in containers at home. We've been told that we can expect the waves, if they come in, to be lasting in duration for up to several hours. So we don't want anybody to think this is one wave and that everything will be okay right after that so they can go home. This will be a process. We may have as many as 20 or 30 waves, and it'll just be continuous until we have it all clear. So do not go back to the low-lying areas right after the 3:20 time period when we're supposed to get hit with the first wave. We want everybody to remain out of the area until we get the all-clear signal. Okay. We are currently working with post-evacuation and post-inundation challenges right now. We're trying to make sure that we are set up so that we can find out if anyone is injured or if anyone needs help. And we will be having helicopters from Blue Hawaiian photographing the area tomorrow morning, bright and early, to make sure that if anyone needs help and we have not located them, we can find them. We also have on standby our fire rescue helicopters, 4 helicopters that have been put in reserve in case of emergency needs. So we're pretty much ready and waiting, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully we don't need any of our rescue equipment because everyone is safe and no one gets injured.
All right, Maui Mayor Alan Arakawa, it sounds like the folks on Maui are prepared. Thank you so much for information. Let's go live to Keoki Kerr, and he is talking to the mayor, Honolulu Mayor Peter Carlisle, right now. Keoki?
Yes, and Mayor Carlisle has an update for us on how those evacuations are going, sir. Tell us.
The information that I've received is that the evacuations are going well and as predicted, and they have actually put helicopters in the air to try and see whether or not there are people who are no longer, who aren't following and are still in the evacuation zone.
And what happens when they do sight folks from the air? What happens then?
Well, essentially, they'll do what they can to try and get the person out of there. They may basically refer the issue to somebody who's in the area, or they may be using their speakers from the planes.
Do they airlift them up?
I kind of doubt that, but that's up to them.
Because we do have 2 hours to go, right? So and, and you know, those reports from Wake Island are awfully small, right? Just a little more than a foot. So the waves portends good news for our islands.
I've heard conflicting reports.
What are you hearing? What are they conflicting?
Not something that I'm going to put out there because it's all speculation. It will cause people either to panic, or it will cause them ultimately to dismiss it as not something that's going to be appropriate for them to evacuate. The standing orders are for people to evacuate for their safety. So saying something is small and only a foot tall is giving perhaps inaccurate information.
Okay. Well, we can only report what they have reported so far from Wake Island, so that's what we're in the business of doing. The other thing that the city tells us to do is tells us that those evacuation shuttles are in a couple of these key areas on Oahu's west coast, where there are big homeless populations. Those bus shuttles are going out to Kea'au Beach Park area, where they've just done that big homeless cleanup out there. Folks from the Waianae Community Outreach are helping to locate some of the homeless folks out there and trying to find them, see if they need help, and getting buses out there. The buses are taking the homeless folks in the Kea'au Beach area to Makaha Community Park, to Nanakuli High School, and also to Waianae Elementary. Also, there are evacuation shuttle buses in the Haubush area in Ewa. They are taking folks to the Ewa District Park area. So that is the latest. The mayor not wanting to let our guard down, even though the reports that we've gotten so far show that these waves are certainly nowhere near as large as the waves from Japan. That's the latest now from the Emergency Operating Center. Back to you now in the studio. Is that Mahea?
Yes, it is, Keoki.
Hi there.
Thanks for being there. And can you just reiterate what Peter Carlisle said? Because he said that the roads in the inundation zones would be shut down at 2 a.m. So,
that's right.
You know, everyone's worried about getting gas and food, but what do they need to do at 2 a.m.?
Well, at 2 a.m., they really need to be, if they're, you know, some of the roughly 30,000 people on our island, on the island of Oahu anyway, who live in those inundation zones, you really need to be out of those inundation zones by then. At 2 a.m., that's when those roadblocks are going to go up, not letting people back in, because obviously they are concerned about looters. They don't want people going into areas that have been evacuated to try to pilfer houses. There will be police there stopping you from going in, but obviously the police aren't going to stop you from going out. You can continue to exit, but they're asking everybody to please be out of those inundation zones by 2 a.m. so that there is not some kind of a last-minute mad rush on the roadways. And again, this is not headed for the hills. We keep saying this, but I don't think we can say this enough because of what happened last February. You saw people going like crazy up on the mountain on Makakilo. You saw people at H3. You saw them